Hey, it's the Scotch Test Dummies. It's our 100th episode and we're doing Caol Ila.
Haven't we done that already?
Number 1, baby.
That was our first review.
Figured we better return since we're not as dumb as we were.
That's right. Let's test it.
Test it. Bruno, it's been 100 actual Scotch episodes, and we got some more.
Well, Scotch and whiskey.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
But we got some other videos out there that we tried. We threw out some stuff. Matter of fact, our Army videos get a whole lot of views.
Yeah. A couple of dear dummies.
Yeah, what am I doing with this giraffe hat on and my Jubilee shirt?
I don't know.
I figured I've obviously started wearing some weird funky hats. We didn't do that early on, and I figured since we're going back to the Caol Ila, properly pronounced by the way, that I would wear the funkiest hat in the house.
Es posible.
Right.
That is pronounced properly. Caol Ila. We've heard it several ways, but I'm pretty sure that's the right way.
Right.
And when we first did our first episode, we were pronouncing it Caol Ila.
That has to be wrong.
Caol Ila.
And we shot it in your house.
That is true.
Place.
Yeah, the very first one was here.
It was dark, it was late, it was cold. I think it was in October.
It was in October, yeah.
Yeah. So, so we're back. What we decided was, Scott and I were talking for our 100th episode, our 100th whiskey review episode, we wanted to return from whence we had come.
Well, we debated at first. We was like, should we get something special, something expensive? You know, what would it be? And we discussed a couple of things, and then it came up, and we were like, let's redo Caol Ila. Right,
because we both think that, well, one, we're spending more time with the whiskeys now. We're taking tasting notes before we ever even sit down to shoot. Our original idea had been to, hey, it's a surprise. We haven't had this. We're opening it up and we're giving you our, first encounter. And that wasn't necessarily bad, but we both agreed that we wanted to spend more time before we sat down and gave a review.
Yeah, we thought it does give the whiskey, the Scotch, a proper review, I believe, where you're able to sit down with it, spend some time with it, and get to know it, compared to just popping the cork, taking a sip, and saying what you get. Well, on camera within a few minutes.
Right, and if you let it sit and breathe for a little bit, and maybe come back to it, because I've sat down for a quiet tasting at home with a Caol Ila, and I'll sit there and say, oh yeah, I'm getting some of this, take a bunch of notes, come back a day later, try it again, try a little different stuff, and then by the time we go on the show, I really got a good solid notes. We're trying it again. It's oftentimes my 3rd or 4th time, which is really proper.
Yeah.
So
a proper
tasting review.
But I would say the best, and some of the best notes and stuff that I've gotten is when I sit down and there's no distractions. It just so happens that's late at night.
That's when I do it too.
But if you want the TV on, you can turn it on. Most of the time, though, it's just in the quiet. If you want some music playing,
I like play a little music in the background,
and just enjoy it.
Just me and the giraffe, maybe.
And you can spend more time nosing it as well. And I actually, the first time, if this was a new bottle, and I pop the cork on it, when I pour it, I let it sit for probably 15, 20, 30 minutes. Just nose it, put it down, come back to it in a little bit, nose it again, and just see what's there, and trying to detect what subtleties there are to it.
Now, I think it's also fair to say that we call ourselves the Scotch Test Dummies. Neither of us professes being a master expert in whiskeys, scotches, or bourbons.
No. Other things.
Well, but we're lovers of all of those things, bourbons, scotches, whiskeys in general. And we felt we had something to share, and we thought we would come out a little bit different, hence the hat. Neither of us takes ourselves way too serious. And as much as we love whiskey, I think you should be able to enjoy the whiskey you want. We want to make it look like you're joining us, or make you feel like you're joining us at the table for a tasting. What you see is what you get, other than I usually don't wear giraffe hats, but I am goofy. Yes?
Yes.
All right.
But so you always say table. Do you mean bar?
No,
you join us at the bar?
No, because see, bar is kind of like, I can't see at the table. I like, when I do a tasting, I do it at a table. I don't usually do it at a bar, because I like multiple people sitting around and enjoying it. Now, I do, we will have a whiskey bar, but that bar can be a barrier at times. So that's why I like a free-flowing, maybe not even everybody hanging out in the same spot when I do a tasting. I love doing it at the kitchen table, to be quite honest. But, so to encapsulate a little of who we are, we figured we would come back to this. We take our whiskey reviews serious. I mean, as campy and as silly as we've been, even with the fake mustaches, hello, right? And the different whiskeys we've reviewed, we always try to come back, and it's not a joke review.
Right.
So the review's legit. It's our feelings in a more serious way, but everything else we don't take too serious.
Yeah.
So what do you got here? What do you got on the nose?
The nose, I get definitely, it's a stronger peat than I remember. I had thought it was a mild to medium. It's definitely a medium peat and heavy on the medium, I think.
Interesting, because I even go a little bit less than that. I put that I get a sea salt, and then I call what I call a slight peat or a soft touch. It feels like peat with a very soft hand to it. So I agree with you. I mean, it's definitely a peat, but this isn't punching in the nose.
No, definitely not. And early on, if there was peat in a Scotch, that was all I could get. And I've gotten to where I can detect more. I'm also getting a grassiness with this, and then a sweet sugar or a citrus sweetness.
Yeah, I was going to say I get a citrus on it, and that's like a lemon citrus, and that's what's amazing with the Caol Ila is that there is that peat, but it's subtle. It's in the forefront, but it allows in these other things too.
And this is also from what region is it that we pronounce correctly now?
Islay.
Islay.
Islay. I wanted to say lay.
Yeah.
It's not Islay. It's
Islay.
Islay.
Like I love Lucy is how someone had said
See, we're getting smarter, even though I got on it.
When we first started, it was Islay.
It was Islay and Caol Ila. We're in the Caol Ila land.
We went from Islay to Islay, and now it's. We've been corrected by Klaus Dobelman.
Klaus, love the Klaus.
Klaus corrected us and said it is Islay.
Right. So again, the subtleties in the nose here. You know, I'm getting a lot more than I got the first time we came to it. The layered effects, the layered aromas are just really nice. What do you get on the taste?
I get peat, I get a floral note, I get that grassiness, and what I did not get before is a mint or a clove.
I get what I put on here is a soft opening, that it really comes to me in a gentle kind of revealing itself to me. And right off the bat, I got what like a velvety mouth feel came in. And then something that I wrote down in the instinctual moment, and then I came back and tested it later, and I don't know how to better explain it, but I get like what I call a touch of meatiness to it. And I don't know, I mean, it's just, that's the only way I can explain it, yet it's fresh and it's zesty, but I get like a meaty, palatable taste to it. Let me try again.
I don't know what you mean by meaty. It's smooth. The peat, like I said, it's a little bit stronger than I remember. But that other stuff is present. That sea salt, that brine, the citrus, that a little bit of a sugar sweetness is in there. That mint or that clove that I didn't get before.
The meatiness is almost a mouthfeel, almost like you could chew on it a little bit. And like I said, I just wrote it down because I had that feeling, that sensation. Not sure I could even explain it properly, but it gave me a very unique mouth meatiness to it, like it was substantive. I have yet fresh and zesty. I mean, I definitely got that lemony sweetness to it as well with that peaty undertone.
Yeah, it's probably for a peaty Islay Scotch. There's definitely more of the citrus, more of the sweetness tones in there than I have gotten with other peated Scotches. 43%
ABV. For me, it could be a little stronger on the alcohol level. I mean, it's maybe perfect because I'm not knocking it on that. I just wish it was stronger if there was a cask strength so I could bring the dilution down and take it through a few transitions for me on the alcohol level.
And there are a couple different editions of the Caol Ila. we need to.
I'm going to have to try that. Yeah, because I would like to play with that ABV level a little bit and see what I could tease out of it.
Now this is a 12-year also, and we've also recently learned, or I did anyway, I didn't know that the longer a peated Scotch ages, the mellower the peat becomes.
Makes sense.
So you take an 8 or a 10-year peated Scotch, and that peat can be a stronger peat than one that's aged for 12, 15, 18, 20 years.
Just mellows that smoked peat moss from the barley. Wonderful. Malt mark 90. So sorry if I
and go back
quickly in there.
When we first started, episode number 1, no malt scores.
We didn't know
doing
nothing.
those.
Yeah, we didn't know anything about doing a malt mark. I would have been embarrassed to even shoot one out.
Yeah.
So,
and actually, we had discussed that at first. Do we want to give malt marks? And I can remember on my part even saying, I don't feel comfortable yet. We don't know enough.
I'm comfortable now.
And I don't remember which episode it was that we started. It was it the first part of just this year? I think
it might have been. We read
2015.
some interesting articles too from tasting masters that said, "Hey, everybody's palate's a little bit different. So when you're scoring it, as long as you're consistently true to yourself, then your malt mark is, as long as you're being true to yourself, it is what it is. And then it's whether or not people are identifying with how you are tasting and rating, and whether they're in line. Like, clearly, you're not as big a fan of the peat. I am.
Right.
So
yeah,
sorry,
and generally those you give a higher score than I do on it. It's the Lafroigs, the Ardbegs that we've had.
It's the warm blanket.
That warm blanket.
Yes, in the middle of with a snowstorm, blizzard blazing,
wrapping in it,
fire, and you're just taking.
Yeah.
Oh God, I love the smoke.
You like to be swaddled?
Swaddle me. I'm big. Look at me, like a giraffe.
They can see my malt score, 89, same as you. It's good.
90.
Oh, you gave it 90. That's
Yeah.
right. 89.
So, perfect. We'll love it. So, all right, Scotch it, you Scotch gods.
Sláinte.
Dummies.